What's good? It's your boy Twiz, man. I watched a video from Yong Yea. I don't know how to say his name, but you know, in general, I like the guy. But this dude just said so much insane negative stuff about Stadia and cloud streaming that I had to do a response video. I really don't like doing these type of videos, but this is one I have to reply to and give my opinion and my perspective on it.
Oh, God.
No, what the fuck, you guys? Damn it, Chaos! I swear y'all did this on purpose!
I want to talk about cloud gaming, which is no doubt going to be a big part of our future, and I think the companies that will thrive are the ones who treat cloud gaming as a companion to local hardware gaming, not as the sole gaming medium like Stadia is doing.
So right here is one of the only places me and him will actually agree. Cloud gaming is the future, but it's not just me and him that believe that. Almost every big game development studio will tell you the same thing. The future is in the cloud. I also agree with them as well. In the early days, as in right now, in the early days of game streaming, I can definitely see the advantage of being able to play your game locally and being able to choose to play it in the cloud if you want to. What this man does not seem to understand is there's going to be some people that would prefer to play their games only in the cloud. This is no different than Netflix. When Netflix first came out, it was a mail-in DVD service. Netflix would mail the DVDs to you, you would take them and put them in your local hardware, in your DVD player, and you would watch the games and you would mail it back. Over time, as the internet infrastructure got better, more and more people started just streaming the movies from Netflix as opposed to handling the mail-in DVDs, and it's very clear as to why. Waiting for your DVDs to come in the mail, waiting for your DVDs to go back, having to have dedicated hardware just to play it was an inconvenience. Now people are watching more movies with less hassle in less time. It's a no-brainer why Netflix is mostly streaming and very few mail-in DVDs. Game streaming will be the same way as our internet infrastructure improves, and as people start realizing the conveniences of playing games in the cloud, more people will move to exclusively cloud streaming and fewer people will be playing on dedicated local hardware.
See ya.
Yeah, that's right! That's right! Roadblock! Roadblock!
And we've already talked about xCloud quite a bit and the prospects and promise of that particular service in conjunction with Xbox's other ventures with Series X and Game Pass. I think that sounds fantastic.
And this right here is something I still don't understand. Why do people compare the future of the Xbox brands such as Xbox Series X and xCloud to Stadia? Those things are not even out yet. If you wanted to have a genuine debate and have a balanced discussion on this topic, if you're going to compare the future of the Xbox brand, why do you not compare it to the future of Stadia? You're going to compare the future of both, not just one, to make one sound better than the other. Here's the thing, Stadia's out right now. Xbox Series X and xCloud aren't. Stadia's already winning in that regard if those are the ways you want to make your arguments. So in all reality, Xbox Series X and xCloud are playing catch up to Stadia? I mean, xCloud, supposedly Stadia's competitor, isn't out yet. So it is playing catch up. Is this how we're going to do this? We're not going to be genuine anymore. This is how we're going to argue about this. Oh my God, there's somebody standing in the corner. Oh, the motherfucker.
We have talked about GeForce Now, and now Steam is kind of joining the fray by partnering up with GeForce Now and supporting their endeavors. And I think this is going to put Stadia in a very tough position, given just what an awful value proposition it is compared to services like xCloud and GeForce Now Steam Cloud Play.
Let me point out the level of cognitive dissonance in this. Why is it anytime a company does anything and they make a new venture, they hire a new studio, they do anything that makes their company better, they do anything for them, why is it automatically something that's anti-Stadia? Why is it automatically something bad Stadia? Why is it automatically the end of Stadia? You don't think this whole Steam teaming up with GeForce Now is also gonna hurt xCloud? You don't think there's some people that were gonna sign up for Xbox Game Pass, some people that were gonna use xCloud, but now that this is out, it's gonna take customers away from that? No, this is only hurting Stadia? You don't think this is gonna hurt PlayStation Now? You don't think this is gonna hurt whatever Nintendo's got going on? Why is this only an anti-Stadia thing? Why is this only something that hurts Stadia? It's so bizarre. You can see how much this man does not like Stadia. He just doesn't like Stadia. Steam and Nvidia teaming up. Now you'll be able to play those games in the cloud. I guess this is gonna hurt the sales on Stadia. You don't think this is gonna hurt the subscriptions for Xbox? Why is that? Oh my God, this dude. Oh yeah, I didn't forget that you said this.
Given just what an awful value proposition it is compared to services like xCloud and GeForce Now Steam Cloud Play.
Dude, my character's not holding her gun.
She is.
It's like this man just doesn't understand that some people will have reasons to only want to play in the cloud. Let's say I just don't want to deal with the inconvenience of the local hardware. Let's say I don't want to have to worry about downloads. I don't want to have to worry about installs. I don't want to have to worry about patches. Let's say I don't want to have to go out and buy a $500 plus machine to play it. Do you understand that some people only want to play in the cloud? That some people will not or do not care to play it locally? For those people, how on earth is this an awful value proposition? All right, let's start with nvida GeForce Now. Let's see how much better value this is. So first off, I have to go to Steam. Let me go over here, log in my Steam account, and then I have to buy the game. Let's say I want to play Red Dead Redemption. What's the cost on this? $59.99. Cool, let me go ahead and buy it real quick. Let's go ahead and do a quick Stadia check. Let's check the price on it. Make sure it's still a good
value proposition.
$59.99, same price. Looking good so far. I would say right now they're equal
value proposition.
Now remember, I don't want to play the game on local hardware. I only want to play the game in the cloud because I like the convenience of the cloud. So let's head on over to GeForce Now. What's this? If I want to play on GeForce Now for free, I have to wait in line and I only get to play for 1 hour? If you saw my last video, it seems like you do more time waiting in line than you do playing. So really, if I want to seriously only play in the cloud, I have to pay the $5.99 for Founders Edition. $5.99 a month just to play my game online. But you know what? When you buy it on Stadia, you don't have to pay a monthly fee just to have access to your game in the cloud. Stadia as a platform is free. Once you buy the game, you have cloud access to it for as long as you want, whenever you want. If you want to compare
value proposition
for somebody who only wants to play in the cloud or doesn't mind only playing a game in the cloud, I would say that Stadia is a better
value proposition
than GeForce Now. If you got the time. Was Jason the original Red Ranger? You know he does gay porn now? Yeah. Don't ask how I know that. Just, you know what? Just play the game.
So the incredible thing about GeForce Now is that it is very much a companion to local hardware gaming.
Once again, this man does not consider that some people might only want to game in the cloud or prefer gaming in the cloud. Let me ask you a question. How come GeForce Now is it seen as a companion to Stadia? Let's just say I'm done with physical hardware. Already made up my mind in the future. I'm not buying any more hardware. I'm just gonna play all my games in the cloud. Wouldn't GeForce Now be the perfect platform to allow me to access all my games I had already purchased, play them in the cloud, so this way I have access to all my old games through GeForce Now and all my newer games I can buy on Stadia? Wouldn't this be the perfect companion to Stadia? How come it's not viewed from that point of view? Oh, that's right, because you seem to have some issue. You seem to have some sort of problem realizing that people actually want to play their games in the cloud, and as time goes on, just like Netflix, more people will be moving to the cloud. How does this go over your head? Oh wow, I'm gonna tell you this right now. This game doesn't really look the best. I mean, this definitely, let's put it like this. I'm not gonna sit here and say the game looks bad, but this definitely looks like a game that could come out on the Nintendo Switch. You know, like we're gonna play it, but man, you know, I was kind of expecting it not to look like this.
And this is a vastly different strategy from Stadia, which solely relies on cloud gaming, does not offer the option to download games, and yet still charges full price for those titles, which you only gain server access to.
If I prefer to play my games in the cloud, then the ability to download and play the games locally has next to no value for me. But now that we're talking value, I'm sure you guys are having the question, why buy a game on Stadia just to play in the cloud if I could also buy the same game on GeForce Now or Steam and just play that in the cloud? It's simple. If I'm going to stream a game from a streaming service, I want to have connectivity to a service that has loads of data centers all over the world, to make sure there's always a data center next to me to reduce latency. There needs to be enough data centers to where I don't have to wait in line for access to a computer, so I don't have to wait my turn. And they need to be run by a company that specializes in streaming video to people all over the world. Here, have a look at what Google's currently able to do. It's almost like a perv in the back. Well, he did some of these kids here for a reason.
It always starts with our cloud and networking infrastructure. Our custom server hardware and data centers can bring more computing power to more people on planet Earth than anyone else. Today, we are in 19 regions and in over 200 countries and territories, connected by hundreds of thousands of miles of fiber optic.
Damn, that's a lot of servers. Let's look at the competition. Now look, GeForce Now only has 5 servers. Don't get me wrong, it's completely playable. But if I take the same game on GeForce Now or Stadia, I will have a better experience playing on Stadia. Plus, to play it on GeForce Now, I have to pay for the game and I have to pay $4.99 a month to play it on GeForce Now. On Stadia, I just have to buy the game and I can play it. Stadia is a superior
value proposition.
You guys are looking forward to xCloud, right? Well, here's Microsoft's data centers. It is more than nvida, but it's nowhere close to Google's. Looks like streaming a game from Stadia will still be superior than streaming a game from xCloud.
Our custom server hardware and data centers can bring more computing power to more people on planet Earth than anyone else.
Oh snap, we can't forget about Amazon. They're getting into game streaming too. Let's have a look at their data centers.
Our custom server hardware and data centers can bring more computing power to more people on planet Earth than anyone else.
Don't get me wrong though. There are going to be some games that just are not on Stadia. In that case, I will play them on GeForce Now. No different than the fact there's some games on the Nintendo Switch that I cannot get on my PC. There's some games on the Xbox that I cannot get on my PlayStation. I will buy the game on the platform that I feel will run it the best for my needs. So when it comes to the cloud, I go Stadia first.
Yeah, who the heck is...
Oh my god, don't you fuck! God damn it, every fucking time! Every fucking time! God, was that you? He said that to me!
I've said before, and I'll keep repeating, that Stadia's business model is the thing that will kill it.
But paying more money to play the same game on GeForce Now won't? Oh man, this dude.
And now, with Steam and GeForce Now sort of partnering up to make it as easy as possible for people to take local hardware purchases and just take them to the cloud, it is the best of both worlds. It is you choosing how and where you want to play the games rather than a service forcing you to just play on the cloud.
When I choose to buy it on Stadia, I am making the choice to only play it in the cloud. And if I only want to play the game in the cloud, why would I want to buy it on another service that will treat streaming like a second-class citizen? The stream will be okay, it will be decent, it will be good enough. No, I want to buy the game on a superior streaming service that I'll have the best possible connection to. That's why you buy it on Stadia instead of somewhere else.
Our custom server hardware and data centers can bring more computing power to more people on planet Earth than anyone else.
You lose the ability to play physically, but your stream will be second to none.
With all of the disadvantages that come with that, with all of the unreliable aspects.
Comparatively speaking, yes, there are disadvantages to only playing in the cloud, but there's also advantages as well. Why do you only speak about what you perceive as negative, but refuse to talk about the stuff that is clearly positive? You are so biased, it's beyond belief, man.
On Stadia, you just need to click on a YouTube video or link, and you can be playing your game instantly. Compare that to today, where gamers are all too familiar with things like this. With Stadia, this waiting game will be a thing of the past. The power of instant access is magical and has already transformed the music and movie industries, and with Stadia, it is now available at the highest level of gaming.
Talk about convenience. You impress the gods. Go Power Rangers!
I've always been in the belief that if you're just gonna do a streaming platform, then you have to go for a Netflix-style subscription model where you pay a monthly fee and you gain access to an entire library of games.
This right here is where this dude shows off his stream disconnect. This is the most extreme levels of cognitive dissonance I have ever seen. Once again, let me state, Red Dead Redemption comes out and I want to play it. The value of playing in the game is $60. Whether I play it on Steam or I play it on Stadia is $60. The advantages of Steam is that I have the choice to play it on local hardware if I want to. But if I want to stream it, or if I don't have the local hardware to do so, I can play it on Stadia. Both prices are $60 just to play one game. He seems to be under the impression that if you play a game through a stream, then there also needs to be a subscription model. Why does there have to be a subscription model? If you listen to this guy talk, you can see his point of view seems to stem from the fact that he feels a game that is streamed is less valuable than a game that's played locally. But he continues to ignore the advantages of playing a game in the stream. No downloads, no installs, no patches, ready to play on any device. He just completely ignores those benefits and automatically feels that a stream game is lesser. So since playing a game on the stream is lesser, he feels like you have to make up for it by having a constant selection of games, which also means you're paying a monthly fee. Stadia is no different than Steam. You just buy the game that you want and play it whenever you want without a monthly fee. Some people don't see games being streamed as being lesser. lesser. Some people don't have access to the hardware and they just want to play the game. Why would you want to force these people to pay a subscription service when really they just want to play 1 or 2 select games? This is where your levels of cognitive dissonance just completely astonish me. Again, pretend I just wanted to play 1 game. Why should I pay a subscription fee to have access to 1 game? Why can't I just buy the 1 game without a subscription fee? Starting to make sense, ain't it? I remember years ago when people were saying similar things about game downloads. Remember when Steam was still kind of new and it hadn't quite taken off, and you talk about downloaded a game? People saw playing a downloaded game as being less valuable than owning a physical copy of the game. Okay, so in that case, Steam doesn't make any sense. Steam should have a subscription model where you pay for a Netflix style of games, because a downloaded game is less valuable than a game that's bought physically. It's the exact same argument that can be applied to Steam, but you don't apply it to Steam, and do you know why? Because Steam's not new and you're used to it. In fact, I actually remember when games on Steam used to be cheaper than buying a game physically for the console. Now, for the most part, the game comes out on Steam for the same price as it does a console. What happened there? Since we're going there, you know what? I actually understand why buying a game on Stadia costs just as much money as buying it on the console. I mean, just housing the data centers and sending data to customers all over the world isn't cheap. I understand that costs money, but Steam saves so much money. In fact, Steam makes more money per employee than any other company in the world. With that logic, shouldn't the games be cheaper on Steam? How come nobody talks about that? How come nobody's gonna drag Steam through the coals on that? I should be paying less for games on Steam than I do on the console, but I don't. Not if I buy them brand new, I don't. Printing money. How Valve went from being an indie game developer to the most profitable company per employee in the USA. Bet a lot of y'all didn't know they were making money like that, did you? You know what would be really consumer friendly? What if Valve just paid the cost of GeForce Now for their customers? They can clearly afford to do so, meaning it costs Google more money to let you play the game than it does for Steam. With those savings, Valve could afford to pay the cost of GeForce Now for all their subscribers and probably still make more of a profit than Stadia. So why don't they? And how come nobody's talking about it? The way I look at it, there's really only 2 choices here. Seeing that Google makes less profit from a game than Steam, they should be praised for having the same prices as Steam. Or, seeing that Steam makes more profit from a game than Google, Steam should be drugged through the mud for having the same prices as Stadia. I mean, really, why not pass the savings on to the customer, you greedy fucks?
Why does it say I'm down?
Oh, you're not even here.
Uh-oh. Oh, wow. What the hell happened to this guy?
Rather than forcing people to pay a subscription for basic features like 4K and the like, and then adding the extra cost of paying full price for these games that you only gain server access to.
For starters, you're not forced to pay for features as 4K. You're not forced to pay that at all. If you don't want to pay it, don't. You still play your game. But don't turn around and say those are basic features. There is no other game streaming service that offers 4K. So when you do decide to pay the Pro membership, getting 4K isn't a basic feature. It's a feature that no other game streaming service provides. PlayStation Now doesn't provide it. NVIDIA GeForce Now doesn't provide it. I'm gonna tell you right now, looking at the servers, xCloud probably isn't gonna provide it either. And even if xCloud does end up providing 4K, which I'm still very doubtful on that, it's not free. You're going to pay for it.
Steam is choosing to work with GeForce Now to kind of push this cloud gaming future, where cloud again is a companion to local gaming rather than a competition to it. Whereas with Stadia, it's just an awful strategy all around because there is no benefit to that service.
How is GeForce Now not considered a companion to Stadia? I still have access to all the old games I played, and I can play them in the cloud, and then all the newer games I can play on Stadia. I just don't understand how you don't see that.
You're paying the same amount of money you'd pay for local hardware.
Yes, the game will cost the same to play in the cloud as it would be to play locally, but I'm still saving money because I don't have to buy the local hardware. If we're talking consoles, we're talking anywhere between $300 and $500 that I have to pay just so I can play games. If we're talking gaming PCs, we're talking an easy $1,200 plus. That is money I save when I focus on playing in the cloud. It is not the same amount of money. It is indeed a great
value proposition
for a similar experience. I do understand for those of y'all who already have the hardware, if you already have a decent gaming rig, or if you already bought the console, I do understand wanting to play it on your console or your PC instead of streaming it. But a few years from now, when you either have to upgrade or build a new PC or buy a new console, you're gonna have to make a choice. Do you really want to pay $500 plus just so you play games, or do you just want to spend the money on the games? That's when cloud streaming makes sense, when you can avoid that cost. You can take the money that you were going to spend on hardware and buy more games. Thanks.
And flat out getting an inferior experience with more potential issues, with less stability, with a whole lot of drawbacks.
Inferior experience? What are you talking about? Streaming a game from Stadia will be the superior streaming experience. And you talk about potential drawbacks. Do I have to point out again the drawbacks of playing your stuff locally, including having to buy the local hardware? Downloads, updates, installs? I mean, come on, man.
Compare that to today, where gamers are all too familiar with things like this. With Stadia, this waiting game will be a thing of the past.
And hell, this is something that even Strauss Zelnick, Take-Two CEO, recognized. He flat out just talked about how Stadia's launch did not go well at all in a statement that reads, "Streaming technology is upon us. The launch of Stadia has been slow. I think there was some overpromising on what the technology could deliver and some consumer disappointment as a result. Over time, I believe streaming will work. The belief that streaming was going to be transformative was based on a view that there were loads of people who really had an interest in interactive entertainment, really wanted to pay for it, but just didn't want to have a console. I'm not sure that turned out to be the case."
If you actually read the article, you'll see what he's referring to. He's not saying Stadia doesn't work. He's not saying Stadia doesn't run the games well. What he's referring to by overpromising on the technology, he means that he thought without the need for consoles, without the need for PCs, he thought he would see more people buying games on Stadia. So why is it people aren't trying it? Well, for one, a lot of people like this guy just refuse to say anything good about Stadia. Notice he hasn't said one good thing about it, even though there are pros to it. All they do is talk bad about Stadia and demonize Stadia and make people not even want to try it. Even with it being free, you don't already put it in people's heads, it's not even worth trying. Second, another reason for the slow start is that many of us are already invested in our current hardware. I bought my gaming PC a couple years ago. I'm sure many of y'all have done the same. You just bought your consoles and you want to ride it out. If you already have your console, you don't see the point in investing in a streaming platform. Stadia will make more sense when people start choosing between upgrading their current hardware or just playing in the cloud. And the third, and I think the biggest point, is that Stadia has not yet made a push for people outside of the gaming sector. Most people that know about Stadia are also gamers. They pay attention to gaming news, they pay attention to gaming trends. That is not most people. And if you notice, Stadia has not done a gigantic advertising push. Stadia is owned by Google. They own the two biggest websites on the internet. They own Google and they own YouTube. They are also the #1 internet advertising company. When Google is ready to fully promote Stadia, everyone will know about it. You will see TV ads, you will see ads in movies, you will see billboards on it, you will hear radio advertisements. Stadia has yet to do its big advertising push. Stadia right now still has a small library of games. Stadia right now still doesn't have all of its key features. I honestly believe that Google is waiting till all their ducks in a row before they really start pushing Stadia. So when they do advertise the hell out of Stadia, it's going to have so many services that you cannot ignore the benefit of it. And when that happens, those casual gamers, those people that don't pay attention to the gaming news, they will know what Stadia is and they will try it. And I know some of y'all are thinking, well, they don't really matter. They're not core gamers. Well, you know what? Neither are people who play games on mobile phones. But mobile gaming is transforming the industry.
I'm gonna go intercept Will. Never mind. Run.
Is there any plans to make this playable on PC, or is this just strictly mobile forever?
Are there any? The current plan is to be on mobile, both Android and iOS. We don't have any plans at the moment to do PC. Do you guys not have phones?
Yeah, you guys all have phones, right?
In fact, there's more money being made from mobile gaming by itself than every other type of gaming combined. You don't believe me? All right, fine. Let's have a look. Okay, at the bottom, you see that light greenish color, that turquoise color? That represents the money made on console. Just above that, see the green? That represents the money made on PC. Now, right above that, the blue? That represents the money made on mobile. Now let's take the money that's made between consoles and made between PCs and let's go ahead and combine them. 22% plus 19% is 41%. That means that 59% of the money made in gaming is made on mobile. So what does that say? That means the people spending money on mobile either don't care about having powerful dedicated hardware, or they don't have powerful dedicated hardware, but they're still willing to spend money on their games. Now again, think, with the advent of 5G right around the corner, soon there's gonna be 5G towers everywhere. Everybody will have a decent connection on their phone. Everyone will have access to high-speed internet everywhere they go with their device, meaning more of these gamers that are spending money mobily, they'll also be spending money on streaming services like Stadia and playing high-quality games in the cloud. Of course, those games won't be as high quality as playing locally, but as you can see, these smartphone gamers don't care. These type of gamers are not going to be latency sensitive like the rest of us are. These type of gamers don't care if the game doesn't look that good locally. In fact, some of these games being streamed to their phone will probably look better than the games they're used to playing. Many of you look down on mobile gaming. You say they're not real gamers. It doesn't change the fact that mobile gaming is bringing more money to the industry than the current hardcore market. Just because you don't understand it, just because you wouldn't do it, doesn't mean other people won't do it. Streaming services will cater greatly to this market, more so than the hardcore gaming. And as this market starts realizing they can stream games in the cloud, they will start adopting it. So once again, Google hasn't really done a push for this type of customer. Also, the internet infrastructure isn't quite there yet for everyone, but it's getting there. But when these things happen, streaming services will take over. I expect it to be similar to when mobile gaming first started making money. First, it started off really small. Then you see over time, it started taking more to market and more to market and more to market. And now mobile makes more money than every other console combined. Take PC, take Xbox, take PlayStation, take Nintendo, put all of it together, combine all the money they made, and mobile gaming is making more and will continue to make more. And the type of gamer that streaming services will appeal the most to are the mobile gaming market. This isn't something that's going to be overnight. This isn't going to be an overnight success. This is something that over time, more people will adopt.
Not only did Stadia overpromise, but they also assumed that for people, consoles were a hindrance, when in reality, consoles are things that people look forward to and are willing to pay for if they offer the proper price point and if they offer the proper features, and more importantly, if they have desired games.
I have to stop you right there, bud. Yeah, there are some people that do prefer to pay for consoles and don't mind buying them for gaming, but most of the money made in gaming is from people who did not buy consoles. In fact, the people who are buying consoles are the small percentage. It wasn't always that way. As you can see earlier, consoles used to dominate, but over time, as people realized they didn't need their consoles to play games, what happened? Mobile took off. Non-dedicated hardware. And the whole comment about Google overpromising on the tech, once again, if you read the article, it's nothing to do with the actual tech. It's that they thought that more people would adopt it than they currently have. But I'm gonna tell you what, when you have the whole internet shitting on it, talking bad about it, making people not even want to try it, it's not surprising that it didn't take off as much as it did. But just like mobile gaming, streaming will grow slowly and then it will become the #1 platform. Stadia makes sense if you don't think about today, but you think about 10 years from now and give it time to grow and adopt. You even point out yourself, if the games are there, people are willing to play. Well, Stadia being a new platform, of course it doesn't have all the games, but the games will come. The games are coming. And when the stars align, Google does an advertising push, more games get on the platform, and the internet improves. It's naturally going to dominate the gaming industry, whether you like it or not.
Now, it should be noted that GeForce Now is facing its own set of challenges, particularly when it comes to developers opting out of the service. So over the past few months, we have seen companies like 2K Games pull out of GeForce Now. We have seen companies like Activision and Bethesda pulling their games as well. And even disappointingly, Xbox Game Studios and Warner Brothers decided that people shouldn't have access to their games on GeForce Now. And keep in mind, again, that these are games that people have already purchased on platforms like Steam. People have to buy the games first on the platform that they want and give the developers and the publishers money for that game before they can take that game to the cloud with GeForce Now, before they have that option. But a big part of this has to do with the fact that a lot of companies maybe want to pursue their own cloud gaming venture. Xbox is doing xCloud, and so this is probably a conflict of interest.
Oh, really? So everyone's beloved Xbox, everyone's beloved Microsoft, they're being kind of scummy too? Why are you surprised by this? You should be fucking kicking Microsoft in the teeth over this. You already bought your game and they will not allow you to play it how and where you want to? Why is that? Because they want you to play on their service. They want you to buy the game again or pay into their service to play games you already own. Remember, Stadia already has a deal with all the publishers. Once the game is on Stadia, it's on there forever. You don't have to have fear of losing it. But let's go back to Microsoft and let's talk about Xbox. If you pay for the Xbox Games Pass, you're paying for Microsoft's own hand-picked games, the games in their one service. But I want to show you something, because you like to rag on Stadia for not having a streaming service like Netflix. Let me show you something.
Hey everybody, Tom Marks from IGN here at E3, and we just learned something at the Ubisoft show that makes me a lot more excited for Google Stadia. They announced Uplay Plus, which is a $15 a month subscription service, and you just get all of Ubisoft's games basically forever with all their deluxe editions, their DLC. As long as you're subscribed, you can play any of them. The really interesting part about that, besides the fact that it's, basically just Game Pass or whatever EA Access, whatever theirs is that this is actually available through Stadia, Google Stadia and Google's streaming service. That's kind of a game changer for me in terms of Stadia. Stadia was interesting, very cool looking, but it's only as good as if it works. If your streaming can hold up, if your internet is good, if your data caps are high enough, that sort of thing. This is actually the first bridge we have between having to stream through Stadia and being able to download a game. So if you get Uplay Plus, you can stream it through Stadia, or presumably you can then just download it separately if you want to do that instead. And this is kind of a part of Stadia I didn't really consider, is that, well, what if Stadia's base is free, so you just play your game through Stadia and you sign up to the subscription services that you want that offer it through that? That's a much more appealing package to me than something like, okay, if you want to play Watch Dogs Legion on Stadia, you have to buy it in the Stadia store, and then you have to stream that game through Stadia every time you want to play it. You cannot download it, you cannot play it anywhere else or any other way. Being able to do it through a subscription service where you kind of have both options is actually really interesting to me, and might make Stadia as a platform just generally better overall if stuff like Microsoft get on board, where they're saying, okay, we'll also do this for Game Pass. I don't think they will, because they're going into their own streaming stuff, but maybe EA will do it. Maybe, Activision or Blizzard will do similar things in the future. And then you have this service almost like TV, where you just sign up for the channels you want. You want HBO, you want to watch that, you just, you get it through, you buy a subscription to that, and you buy subscriptions to just the developers you would want to support and want their games. And then you play through streaming or you don't. It's up to you. That's interesting to me. It was not something that I think I considered before Uplay Plus was announced today. We're going to have a lot more coverage from E3, so for everything else, stay right here on IGN.
So let's look at what you said.
I've always been in the belief that if you're just gonna do a streaming platform, then you have to go for a Netflix-style subscription model where you pay a monthly fee and you gain access to an entire library of games.
Well, as you can see, they clearly have that coming. If you want to pay for Uplay Plus, you can pay for it, play it on Stadia with no additional cost, or you can download it locally. But not only Uplay Plus, Stadia is leaving the door open for any publisher to bring their own streaming service onto Stadia at no additional cost to the users. You pay Ubisoft, play on Stadia. You pay EA, play on Stadia. You pay Activision, play on Stadia at no additional cost. You see, Xbox will not do that, because as was stated earlier, Xbox Games Pass is a competition to other streaming services. Meaning, if you pay for the Xbox Game Pass, you can only play the games that Xbox has access to. And then when you choose to stream those games, you're going to stream them on a subpar service.
Our custom server hardware and data centers can bring more computing power to more people on planet Earth than anyone else.
Microsoft's data centers are not going to be as good as Google's. So when you stream these games on Game Pass, it's going to be subpar compared to Stadia. However, if you pay for the Uplay Game Pass, Stadia will have all the advantages and more of Xbox Games Pass and give you more choices. You'll still have the choice to download and play your games locally through your respective gaming service. It's literally
the best of both worlds.
And I know what you're probably thinking. It's not really fair for me to talk about Uplay Plus and the other streaming services that are coming in Stadia. Those services aren't here yet, we don't know all the details, and we don't know when they'll be here. You know what? That's fine. But I asked you to treat xCloud and everything Xbox is doing the same way. If I can't talk about the future features coming to Stadia, and that means you need to stop talking about the future features coming to Game Pass and Xbox. I'm your boy Twiz. Don't forget to like, comment, follow, and subscribe. And as always, As always, thank you so much for supporting my channel. Laters, y'all. You know, on a side note, how come nobody's mad that Steam doesn't have a Netflix style of games or subscription service? Why is that only compared to Stadia? I don't know. I'm out.
Imagine you are watching games on YouTube and you discover the latest Assassin's Creed Odyssey trailer on Ubisoft's official channel on YouTube. You will notice the Play Now button. By simply clicking on that button, the player is brought directly into the game in a browser in as quick as 5 seconds. With no download, no patch, no update, and no install, Stadia offers instant access to play. Our platform vision for Stadia is to reduce the friction between getting excited about a game and playing a game.